I want to quickly talk to you about the top 10 bad credit, huge personal loans for people who earn at least $1,500 monthly. Don't go anywhere if you are in that category. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. How are you today? I hope you are doing fantastic. I'm doing marvelous. If you ever ask me, if you are doing as great as I am, go grab a cup of coffee or tea or vodka and let's roll. In today's conversation, I want to speak to you about the top 10 poor credit, huge personal loans for people who earn at least $1,500 monthly. Now, the thing here is this is a minimum, right? So if you earn $2,500 or $3,000, you still qualify. It's kind of important to understand that the lenders that we're going to talk to you today about, they are very specific about the minimum income requirement. It's because they pay attention to something called DTI. So when a lender looks at your application, they pay attention to debt to income ratio. In other words, they look at your total debt and they look at your income. So basically for them, someone who makes at least $1,500 a month is a good risk, because they kind of look at spectra of risk and they decide whether or not a specific spectrum of risk is good for them. So $1,500 is the threshold for today's conversation. So one thing I want to say very quickly here is that the best way to decide the lender that's good for you, you want to pay attention to a few things. Do they pre-qualify? In other words, do they allow you to enter your information and get you a bevy of quotes and see if the quotes are good for you? Then you can choose one. In other words, do they allow you to have a soft pull first, and then when you decide to go in earnest into the borrowing conversation, then they can do a hard pull. You also want to be able to determine how much you need. How much do you want to borrow? It's very important. So you want to pay attention to things like origination fees, right? Prepayment fees, and all other fees that sometimes they charge admin fees. You also want to check your credit score, folks. This is important. If you want to, even if you're making $1,500 or $2,000 or $3,000 or $4,000, doesn't matter. You want to check your credit score as often as possible. As a matter of fact, Congress has passed a law that allows you to check your credit history, your credit score for that matter, once a year. You just have to go to a website called annualcreditreport.com. Okay, before I get into the actual rankings here, please check out the short video. It tells you about our methodology when it comes to reviewing loans on this channel. Check this out. All right, folks. Number 10. When we talk about the top 10 bad credit, huge personal loans for people who earn at least $1,500 monthly, number 10, we have PenFed Credit Union. Our score, 7.5 over 10. So basically here with PenFed, the loan amount will fluctuate between $1,000 and $35,000. The APR 5.99 to 25.99. The minimum FICO here is 550, so 550, right? And the funding will happen within 72 hours. Okay. Now the loan term is pretty good, also 1 to 5 years. The thing is, as we have for any credit union, you have to be a member, and it's very easy to be a member of PenFed without military affiliation. You just got to call them. We actually talked about the eligibility route in other shows, but it's very easy. Call them up and they'll tell you. Sometimes they just tell you to donate $5 or $10 to a charity that's sponsored by the military, or that has affiliation with the military, and it's fine. Okay, now what are the pros and cons here? There are no origination fees, no prepayment penalty, joint applications are accepted, and you have a fast funding with PenFed. And in terms of the cons, now if you have strong credit, it's better to apply elsewhere, because you're going to get I mean, the rate here is not really that competitive, but if you have excellent credit, look elsewhere. And they also have a low maximum loan amount. So $35,000 is one of the lowest on our list today. Number 9, folks, we have here Avant. Our score 8 over 10, loan amount 2 to $35,000, APR 9.99% to 35.99%, minimum FICO 575. Funding happens within 24 hours, and the loan term here is 2 to 5 years. This is pretty good. And we love Avant because it's a great platform, especially for people who have a poor credit or fair credit or even low credit, no credit. And what are the pros and cons here? You have a wide constellation of loan amounts here, and they do have a solid mobile app that we love. We've tested it. And for the cons, they do not allow co-borrowers, and they do have high APR caps. You're looking at 35.99%. That's kind of huge, but comes with the territory, right? And they do have fees. Sometimes they have admin fees, or they have origination fees. In some cases, they have prepayment penalties. So that's good to know. Number 8, folks, we have Payoff. Our score 8 over 10. We love Payoff for a very simple reason. This platform is great for cheap debt consolidation. If you have all manner of debt and you want to consolidate because the rates are too high and you're just trying to, just to breathe a little bit, Payoff is the way to go. Loan amounts here, of course, you can also use the money for something else, not just debt consolidation though. So something that you need to know. What I want to say here is that when it comes to Payoff, the loan amount 5 to 40 grand, APR 5.99% to 24.99%. Okay, minimum FICO 530. It's very important to know. The funding will happen within 72 hours, and the loan term 2 to 5 years. And we love the fact that with Payoff, you have a bevy of financial tools, and they do have fewer fees. Okay, what about the cons? Now, they do have a slower funding than competitors because they fund within 72 hours, whereas other competitors will fund within 24 hours. Okay, and they do have an origination fee, and you have limited loan usage. In other words, they are not always flexible as to what you can use the money for. I mean, it is your money, but they're the one giving the money to you, so they're a little inflexible here. Okay, that's something you need to know. Let's move on to number 7 here, folks. We have Lending Club. Our score 8.5 over 10. And for us, Lending Club is a great player also here. Now, Lending Club is great for joint applications and smooth co-borrowing experiences, in our view. A loan amount $1 to $40,000. APR will oscillate between 7.99% and 35.99%. And of course, the thing with Lending Club is you got to have auto pay. If you don't have auto pay, you might be paying more. Okay, so please choose auto pay. And the minimum FICO score here is wonderful. We love it. 540. Funding will occur within 72 hours, and the loan term 3 to 5 years. Okay, and what are the pros and cons here? We love the fact that Lending Club is accessible to the majority of borrowers. So 540 is pretty accessible as a threshold for FICO, and they do offer joint applications. The only drawback is that they do charge an origination fee, something that you need to think about. Otherwise, it's pretty interesting. This is a loan that you can actually use for a lot of things, and they'll pay attention to your credit score and history, your debt to income ratio, your loan amount, and their repayment terms are kind of flexible too. So something that you need to remember. Number 6, folks. Number 6 here, we have TD Bank, and our score 9 over 10. Great traditional lender. This is a bank, right? So that means that you are going to get discounted APRs and lower fees. The loan amounts will fluctuate between $2,000 and $50,000. The APR, we are looking at the 6.99% to 21.99%. You can see right off the bat that the APR is significantly lower than what we just talked about when we mentioned the Lending Club, Payoff, Avant, and PenFed Credit Union, right? Minimum FICO score here at 550. And the funding will occur within 48 hours. The loan term 3 to 5 years. All right. And what we love with TD Bank is that you do have a brick and mortar banking experience. You have a traditional bank with a few branches across the country. You can walk into a branch and have a conversation with a live human before actually applying. You don't have to do everything online if you don't want to. They do have low APRs too. That's great. And the only cons, in our view, is that they did not disclose the eligibility criteria. But based on our research, based on people that we spoke to, it's pretty straightforward. You got to have income. You got to have $1,500 at least. You got to have a job. You got to have your social. You got to be You have to be 18 years of age, or 19 if you are in Alaska and Nebraska. And most importantly, it's not a prerequisite, but it's good if you have an account with TD Bank. All right, this will actually boost your chances of getting approved. Number 5, folks. Number 5, we have upgrades. Our score 9/10. Great platform here, and Upgrade is fantastic because they will fund you extremely fast. And the thing here is that the loan amounts we're looking at the $1,000 to $50,000. The APR will oscillate between 5.99% and 35.99% with auto pay. Of course, this is kind of analogous to Lending Club, right? The minimum FICO is 550, and the funding within 12 hours. Can you imagine that? 12 hours, you're getting your cash as soon as everything is ready. The paperwork is ready. Fantastic. The loan term here, 2 to 7 years, folks. 2 to 7 years. And so what are the pros and cons here? Fast funding, number one, advantage. Number two, you have a wide constellation of loan amount, right? From $1 to $50,000. You have a large range you can choose from. And the loans are accessible to most borrowers. What about the cons? There is an origination fee, and they do not allow co-signers. So if you want to co-borrow here, you're not going to get your loan with Upgrade. I'll be right back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another session of the Awesome Studio Kiwi Show. I'm still having a conversation with you about the top 10 bad credit, huge personal loans for people who earn at least $1,500 per month. Okay, that's the cutoff here. Number 4, we have Best Egg. Our score 9.5/10. Best Egg is excellent when it comes to discounted terms and low APRs. The loan amount will fluctuate between $2,000 and $50,000. The APR will range from 5.99% to 29.99%. And the minimum FICO, check this out, really good, 525. So even if you have 525, you can still qualify for a loan on Best Egg. And the funding will this is even better here. Funding will occur within 24 hours. The loan term 3 to 5 years. Okay. So what are the pros and cons here? When we think about Best Egg, you have fast approval and funding. So you get your cash real fast. And this is accessible. This is open to a lot of borrowers, including those with poor credit. And the cons, they do have an origination fee. It's something you need to know about. Number 3, folks, we have here Upstart. Our score 9.5/10. Now, Upstart has been for a while. They have been doing a lot of good work in the lending space, and they are great for borrowers with little or no credit history. And so the loan amount $1 to $50,000. The APR is 6.75% to 35.99%, and the FICO, the minimum FICO here is 560. Okay, 560. And funding will happen within 48 hours. The loan term 3 to 5 years. No, actually, the loan term with Upstart is a little different. They only have 2 options. So it's either you pick 3 years or 5 years. There's no continuum. There's no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, no, or anything in between. No, they only give you 2 choices. What are the pros and cons here? The pros here, you have fast funding within 48 hours. I just said it. It is many borrowers are welcome because the eligibility criteria are less stringent than what you have with competitors, and there are no prepayment penalties. What about the cons here? We have an origination fee and a high maximum APR. Think about it, 35.99%. This will eat into your loan, right? But it comes with the territory, folks. Number 2, folks, we have here Lightstream. Check this out, Lightstream. Our score 10/10. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You have here a perfect score. Lightstream is great. They were great for flexible and extended payment terms, right? Loan amount, check this out. Loan amount will oscillate between $5,000 and $100,000. You heard it right, 100G. And the APR will range from 10% to 36%. Minimum FICO 525, and the funding will occur within 18 hours. Okay, and the loan term, even fantastic, 2 to 12 hours, 12 years, not 12 hours. Loan term 2 to 12 years. And what are the pros and cons here? The pros: low rates, no fees, fast approval and funding, and they do offer a wonderful digital experience. Everything from their mobile to your dashboard to how you can apply on the phone. It's just fantastic. A very user-friendly interface. What about the cons here? They do have a minimum loan amount, which is a bit high, the $5,000, because if you don't really need to borrow five grand, don't go to Lightstream, because their minimum is $5,000. And they do require a long credit history. So it doesn't matter if you have poor credit, you just gotta have a long credit history, minimum 2 years, 2 to 3 years. Number one, folks, another biggie here. We have a gem here. Wonderful lender, SoFi. Our score, 10 over 10. Perfect score. SoFi is just fantastic for customer service and borrower education. So here is a platform that gives you a constellation of tools, resources, and stuff that allows you to, like, you are just borrowing from them, but you are learning everything from credit, personal finance, how to improve your life, and all that kind of good stuff, budgeting, you name it. Loan amounts will oscillate between $5,000 and $100,000. The APR 6% to 20%. Minimum FICO 575, and the funding will occur within 4 days, 96 hours. Loan term 2 to 7 years. We love FICO. I mean, we love SoFi. It's well run. It's really, and they have a bevy of positive reviews out there. And the pros and cons here: no fees. Loan amount is kind of high. You do have an excellent digital experience also, and they do allow joint applications. And in terms of the cons, the time to receive funds is sometimes, as I told you, 4 days is a little high. So it's really the big problem here. All right, folks, this is it for today's conversation. I was talking to you very quickly about the top 10 bad credit, huge personal loans for people who earn at least $1,500 a month. Okay. And so number one, SoFi, 10 over 10. Number two, we have Lightstream. That's 10 over 10. Number three, Upstart, 9.5 over 10. Number four, we have Best Egg, 9.5 over 10. Number five, we have Upgrade, 9 over 10. Number six, we have a TD Bank, 9 over 10. Number seven, we have Lending Club, 8.5 over 10. Number eight, we have here Payoff, 8 over 10. Number nine, we have Avon, 8 over 10. And number 10, last but not the least, we have PenFed Credit Union, 7.5 over 10. Thank you so much for your attention, folks. I really appreciate it. I will see you next time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.